Okay, hello everyone. This is Dale Sheldon with the Daily Dale. I'm going to try something new today. I'm calling it Flash Genealogy. This is going to be a little bit weird for me because I've never tried to record in this way. You should be able to see my screen, and you should be able to see me in the top corner, one of the two corners on your screen, but I can't see myself. So I feel a little apprehensive about this not being able to see myself, but I did test it a minute ago and it did seem to work well. So we're going to go through here. So Flash Genealogy, the idea is to receive some sort of a question, kind of like a Dear Abby of genealogical research. And I will give myself 1 hour, which actually I'm thinking might be too long of a time frame, but just 1 hour to try to answer the question, try to research and find the answer to the question as much as possible. I have some water with me. I have a furry blanket in case I get cold, because it does get cold here up in the mountains. And we'll see what we can figure out. If you are interested in doing this yourself, please subscribe to my channel. Please like, please comment. I want to hear from you. And you can send me a personal message as well with your question, with your genealogical research question, and I will possibly make a video like this for you as well. I'm also now on Facebook, the Daily Dale-Genealogy. Specifically for these genealogical posts, but my YouTube channel is the most important one. That's where I really need a lot of the support. So if you could subscribe there, that would be a huge help to me. But on the Facebook group, that is a group. It's not a page. That means that it's open discussion. I want people to talk about genealogy and share their experiences and their stories and their tips. So please go ahead and join that Facebook group. Again, that's the Daily Dale-Genealogy. And let's read. I have received one question already. It was actually through that group. It's from Ashley, and she writes, "Hi, thank you for your help. I'm looking for, I believe it's my great-grandfather. His name is Robert William Bob Selle, or Selle. It's S-E-L-L-E. Born January 4th, 1916, and died September 1st, 2004 in Sandpoint, Idaho. Looking just for any information or a picture, and I'm looking for any info on my grandma. His daughter, name is Helen Messmen, in quotations, call. She also lived in Sandpoint, Idaho. And I've already followed up with Ashley because this is going to go public on my YouTube channel. I want to make sure that I'm not researching anyone who is still with us, who is still living. And she did confirm that, unfortunately, her grandmother has passed away. I didn't get the details of that, but she said it was mentioned in another family obituary. So we're primarily going to start with the beginning of her question, though, with Robert. So we're going to give myself just 1 hour. We'll see how this goes. It is 7:42 right now, so I'm going to go onto my phone and set my alarm for 8:42. Yes, save. The alarm will ring in 59 minutes. Make sure that the sound is up, and I hope I don't get any calls. And let's start going. So you should see, excuse me, my screen, which just shows ancestry. Now what I'm going to do to try to keep track of everything that I'm doing is I'm going to create a new page, a new tree real quick. Did I click on the wrong thing for that? Ah, here we go. Create a new tree. I probably should have started this earlier because I'm on a time crunch with this whole thing. So we're going to put in Robert William Selle. We know that he is deceased. We know that he is male. Based on what she said, he was born January 4th, 1916, and he passed away September 1st, 2004. And I don't know if this is correct, but she said he was from Sandpoint, Idaho. Personally, I'd like to get rid of the USA, but that's a personal choice. Sandpoint, now we know it's in Bonner County, so that'll help a little bit. And we'll go ahead and create that. This little table I have my computer on is quite old. What is it doing? It's going to make me add a father. I don't know the father, so we're just going to hit save. Selle family tree. Allow others to view this tree. I'm going to say no because this is not my family and I don't know what Ashley's preferences are. I'm making this tree. I'm going to share this with her later. But I don't just want anyone seeing this. It's not my information to share. You know, if she wants to, she can do that herself. Okay, so now we've got this little tree here, Robert William Selle. Now let's start searching. And we're going to go to search. And you know what? I'm going to do all searches. Because we have when he passed away and where, it wasn't in California, which has some really great records. But we should be able to find him first on the Social Security Death Index, just to confirm that the information that we have is correct. I'm just going to put in Robert Selle. I always do exact matches. It's just my personal preference, and then I expand if I need to. And we're going to put in, what was it, Sandpoint, Bonner, Idaho. When I'm doing a search, I do always include the USA, only because sometimes the algorithms in Ancestry might require it. It's better just to use whatever comes up in their dropdown. I also like to go by category rather than full records. And here we have Social Security application and claims. Oh, here's the death index. All right, let's go with this first. Robert W. Selle, January 4, 1916, September. Okay, so this is him. Let's go ahead and view this record and attach it to the tree. We're going to attach this as someone in our tree. And we know, too, I don't know if you ever noticed this, that this was issued in Idaho before 1951. That's a nice little thing that it does sometimes. You know what? I've been having issues with this lately. There it goes. We're not going to do my tree. We're going to do the Selle family tree. And we're going to select the person that we're attaching it to, Robert William. Whoop, hey, why did it change? Selle family tree, Robert. Okay, we've got that. Let's see what else we can find here. Now we've got some hints. So let's just check the hints real fast. So this is interesting. So he had an application, Social Security application, in which at some point he put the names of his parents, August Selle and Mabel Boone. I'm also related to the Boone family, so it'd be interesting to find out if Ashley and I might be cousins. We also know now that he was born in Colville, Washington. So that's interesting. Signature, Bob Selle. She did say that he went by the name of Bob. So we're going to go ahead and add this. We now have his parents' names. Colville. Now I'm going to get rid of Washington because I want to see. It must be this one down at the bottom, Stevens County, Washington. I'm going to add August. And we now know that his mother is Mabel Boone. So as far as we know, Ashley wasn't aware of the names of his parents or where he was born. So that's something extra. Oh, here we have his Find a Grave record. If you're not aware of this, you want to be careful with Find a Grave. There's some great information there, but keep in mind that it is all user submitted. So Anything here is only as good as the individual who happened to put it there, which might be fantastic or it might be a complete disaster. You never really know. So take it with a grain of salt. Make sure that you're double checking anything that you see there to make sure it's correct. Now in this case, this is pretty good. It's actually reprinted his obituary from the Bonner County Daily Bee, which is printed Wednesday, September 8th, 2004. And let's see what it says. Robert William Bob Selle, 88, passed away on Wednesday at his home in Sunnyside. So we know he actually passed away in Sunnyside, wherever that is. He talks about the memorial service. It says when he was born, the son of August and Mabel Boone, on a farm near Colville, Washington, and grew up there prior to moving with the family to Sandpoint in 1923. So we now know that if we're going to look for him in the 1930 and 1940 census, he's still going to be in Sandpoint and probably with his parents. His grandfather and father homesteaded north of Sandpoint in the Selle area, and the area is still known as Selle after them. He attended local schools and graduated from Sandpoint High School in 1934, joining the Civilian Conservation Corps shortly after graduation. He married Florence Hawkins Messmen on June 17, 1937 in Sandpoint, Idaho. Now, it's interesting because Ashley put that her grandmother was Helen Messmen, and we now know that Bob's wife was Florence Messmen. Bob worked for the L.D. McFarland Cedar Product Company starting in 1938 as a logging camp boss and became plant foreman at the utility pole processing and treating plant, a position he held until his retirement in 1978. By the way, my computer is touchscreen, so if it looks, I'm actually touching my screen to move it sometimes. After 40 years with the same company. He was an avid fisherman, hunter, and outdoor sportsman. He also enjoyed growing a large garden at his home on the shores of Lake Pend Oreille in Sunnyside. Some survivors include two daughters, Donna Messmen Barber of Seattle, Washington, and Kay Selle Bachman of Priest River, a son Dale Selle, sister Edith, and 20 grandchildren. Those are the survivors. We know that Helen had passed away. Oh, Bob was preceded in death by his parents, wife Florence, son Jack, a daughter Helen Messmen Call. So we were able to confirm now that Helen was the daughter of Bob. I'm only saying that because in Ashley's message to me, it sounded as if maybe she wasn't entirely sure. She did say that looking for, I believe it's my great-grandfather, which tells me she wasn't 100% confident that that was correct. And this seems to confirm that for us, that he was the father of Helen. And now she has all this other information as well. So we're going ahead and go copy this as well to the tree. I'm going to put, so I don't know if Sunnyside is different from Sandpoint. So I'm going to use another thing that I love in genealogy, and that is Google Maps. It's just maps.google.com, and I want to put in Sunnyside, Idaho. I want to find out if it's a different town. If it's a different town, then we know that we need to put that as his place of death and not Sandpoint. So Sunnyside is down here. Let's do a directions to Sandpoint, Idaho. And Sandpoint is over here. So I would put Sunnyside as a separate location. So let's go back and we'll put in Sunnyside. Actually, where we have burial information, he was buried at Brinkwood Cemetery in Sunnyside. So let's go ahead and add that as well. I like to actually add the full location, get rid of the word county because it's implied, don't need the US. And for date, we're just going to put September 2004. Okay, a bunch more has now come up. Uh, we have his birth, death. Oh, we also know now, might as well add it. His wife, Florence Hawkins. I don't know if I'm still confused by the Messmen, but I'm assuming that her birth name, her maiden name, was Florence Hawkins. So I'm going to put that in here. Um, you know what? I'm not going to put Florence because I don't know if she's passed away yet or not, and I don't want to research someone who might still be living. So um, I want to respect their privacy. So we'll leave Florence out. That wasn't the question. The question was about Robert William Selle. Let's look at more here. Here we have his birth record in Washington, which I was anticipating. I've done a lot of research up in Washington already, and they have some pretty good records. It looks like this isn't the full birth certificate though, which is a little annoying. I was hoping it would be the full thing. But let's go ahead and review this and add it. We know that his father went by Gus. Stevens County, so that confirms that the Colville that we were looking at actually is in Stevens County and not a different Colville somewhere else. I'm going to add Gus as a nickname here. And let's see if this says anything else. I think this is just a basic index and that it's not going to have anything else in here. What is all this? I haven't seen one of these. Gus Selle. There's a lot of them. Donald Boone, Bertie, Ollie, Letty, an unnamed child, Helena. Huh. These are all the children. September 22nd, 1910, 1911, 1912, 1913, 14, 16. It looks like he was unnamed Bob. Well, we'll leave that alone. She has that at least. I've included it in our documentation here. And let's keep going. I was hoping to find... Oh, look, Montana marriage. 1937. So she can come back to this if she wants to, but this shows the marriage of Bob to Florence Messmen in 1937. So now I'm wondering if Hawkins was her first name, if she remarried, or if she married first to a Messmen, which is interesting because that, to me, if Helen went by the name of Messmen, that would tell me that Helen was most likely the child of the first husband. And not of Bob, and Ashley would want to know that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and add this marriage. I wasn't planning on doing that, but I think it's important. I'm going to change this to June 17th. And Thompson Falls, Sanders, Montana is where they're married. Go ahead and add here. And Florence Messmen, born about 1906, same information. Now, I'm really thinking that her name was Hawkins, not Messmen, based on other information. So what I'm curious about is to look at the 1940 census for the family. Here we go, Robert and Florence, and see where the kids are at. If Helen is older than 1936, or sorry, 1937, then we can confirm that Helen was actually the child of Florence and her prior husband. Or most likely. I mean, she would want to find a birth certificate just to settle that for sure. And here we have Helen Herman. What was that? Must be Messmen. It's possible that the person that was transcribing this wasn't able to read it properly, so we'll double check that. But look, Helen is 14 years old, which would put her birth at about 1926. And she has two other siblings, John and Donna. They were going by the name of Messmen, it looks like, in 1940. And then the last two are later with the Selle family. So I'm going to say that Bob was not her biological father. Bob was most likely the stepfather to Helen. And let's just look at this. Now, if you haven't seen a 1940 census yet, these are pretty good. I like them. Let me just go through this for you. So we have a lot of information. We know, it actually tells us their address. In 1940, it was 901 North 5th in Sandpoint. And I always like to go back to my trusty Google Maps. And we're going to put in 901 North 5th, Sandpoint, Idaho. It's going to zoom in. Ooh. It's possible that 901 no longer exists as a house number because it's just putting us on the corner of the street. But if you see this little guy down here, oh look, today happens to be my birthday and it's saying happy birthday, Dale. It's a little scary that Google knows that, but that's okay. I do a lot of Google stuff. I have, YouTube, and I have Gmail, and my birthday's all over the place. So it makes sense that Google would know my birthday. But anyway, so if we take this little orange guy that's down here and pick him up with our cursor and drag him to the street, is it not? If Google Street View has been used, meaning a car with a big camera on the top of it has driven through the streets, the street should turn blue. And you'll be able to drop this little guy there and actually be on the street and see it. Unfortunately, it looks like they've never done this little particular part of Sandpoint. And actually, it looks like they were in Ponderay. Let me see if I can find some other part so you can just see what it looks like. Okay, so when I grab the little guy, all of those bits turn blue. You'll see the street turns blue. That means I can go anywhere along that street. You'll also see little blue circles. You can drop on that. Let's just show you. And it'll just be a picture. Sometimes it's a 360 picture, like this one is. So you can zoom around and see inside this store. I don't know why they decided to pick that particular store, but that's fine. There are also... Usually those blue ones are outside, not inside, because they also, hold on, my cursor froze on me for a second there. There are also these little orange ones. Now these are always interior, usually to stores or hotels or restaurants, but they're not just interior, you can also move around. This looks like it's one of the hotels. So you'll see the cursor has a little arrow on it. If you just put it on and click, you can actually move your way through the hotel and see it. So this, could help if you're going to go traveling, but it also is a little bit nice just for genealogy as well. Not particularly looking inside some random hotel, but for seeing the house where someone lived. And it's freezing on me again. Here we go. But I do want to show you what a street looks like. So let's pick, they haven't done a lot up here. We're just going to pick a random Triangle Drive. And this is Sandpoint, Idaho. Looks like a pretty small town. Kind of looks like where they might have lived in, what were those movies called with the vampires and the werewolves? They sparkle. I can't remember the name. Anyway, that takes place in Washington, but it kind of looks the same. I have a lot of teenage and 20-year-old friends that are going to kill me for not remembering the name of those movies. Okay, let's go back. You know, you can't feel too bad or blame the person who transcribed this, because that is pretty mangled. It's hard to read that. It does say Messmen, Messman, but if you didn't already know that, Herman was a pretty good guess. We're going to just step back now. I'm going to go back to the 1940 census, and we're going to save this. Excuse me. Oh, wait a second. Robert. No, I'm wrong. I can't believe I thought of that. Helen was Robert's half-sister. So this is not the Helen, I can't believe I even assumed that. This is not the same Helen, daughter of Robert, obviously. So Robert is the son of Robert W. Selle and Florence. But see, now I'm confused though, because she said her grandmother was Helen Messmen. Right? Well, this is the younger Robert. And this, oh, God. Wow. Yeah, no, I'm good. I confused myself a little bit because of the younger Robert. No, okay. So Florence was previously married to a Mr. Messmen. She had these 3 kids. We don't know what happened with that first marriage. She remarried our Robert and had 2 additional children. So I was right the first time. Helen is the stepdaughter of Robert Selle, which I don't know. I mean, clearly Robert kind of raised her. They married in 1937, which would have been 3 years earlier. She's 14 here, so she would have been 11 when her mom remarried to Bob Selle. So I don't know if she considered Bob her father, if that's what is important to Ashley or not, if she wants to continue on that trail, or if she really wants to know the actual. So you know what I think we're going to do, because we can always do another post later if she wants to, depending on which direction she decides to go in. We might concentrate on Florence, because Helen, we know, is the actual ancestor. It is Ashley's grandmother, and we know Florence for sure is Ashley's great-grandmother. But I want to show you a few more things. So we have the address, right? We have, this is nothing important. It's just the number that the household was visited. This is telling us the home was owned by Robert, and that its value was $500. A new feature here is this little X with a circle around it. Tells us that Florence was providing this information to the enumerator herself. The enumerator in 1940 would have actually gone to the home themselves to speak with the family. She was 34 years old, which is interesting. She was 10 years older than Robert. He was only 24 at this point. She had completed 2 years of high school. And this is just a code recognizing that 2 years. She was born in Idaho. They lived in the same place. That is not the same house. So if they had lived in the exact same house in 1935, it would say same house. This says same place. So we know that in 1935 they were living in Sandpoint. This is just the same place again. This is not employed for pay. Robert was, she wasn't, so she's probably a housewife. She's not seeking work. She has no employment history. A home housework, which we suspected, and the employment code references the home housework. Let's see. Robert was a laborer with. I can't read what that says. Something plant? Trusting plant? If someone else can decipher what that says, please feel free to comment on the video. He was in private work. And, I don't know what these codes mean. I should look these up and see if I can incorporate them in the video somehow. He worked 25 hours that week. It's just his income, some codes for his income. So that's the whole family. There's one other thing that's different with the 1940 census, and that is this little thing right here. So if I zoom out, you'll see that a couple of people have a supplement. Just a small cross-section of the general population, and it just so happens that Donna in this family, Donna Messmen, was it Messmen? I keep forgetting the name. Yeah, Messmen, was one of those supplementals. So she was born in Idaho. I just want to see to Helen, the sister, was born in Nebraska. Looks like they first wrote Idaho, crossed it out, and put Nebraska. So it's possible that at the time that she was born, which would have been around 19. How old is she? So 1926, the family was briefly in Nebraska for some reason. But let's go down to the supplementals. They're at the bottom of the page, and they just give us a little bit more information. So we have Donna Messmen. It's interesting, actually, if the person that was transcribing this had looked at the supplemental, this was much easier to read. Messman. It's much clearer. This confirms that her father was born in Nebraska and her mother was born in Idaho. I'm going to do a couple of things real quick. I'm going to go back to the tree, and we haven't put Helen in here. So that's probably fine. We're going to change this, though. We know Messmen was her married name. So I'm going to go to name and gender. We're going to edit her name to Hawkins based on what Ashley told us in her message. And we're going to add a spouse named Messmen. And I'm going to go ahead and add, since we know Helen has passed away, we're going to add a daughter, Helen. We know she's deceased. We know her father was Messmen. We don't know anything else about her. Oh, no, I'm sorry, we do. We know she was born in 1926. Right? Yeah, 1926. And let's go back up. I think she was born in Idaho. Where'd she go? Here, Helen, daughter. Oh, no, that's right. We were just talking about this. She was born, it looks like, in Nebraska. We're going to put Nebraska. Oops, where did it go? And Donna is a Messmen, so we know the father was born in Nebraska, Mr. Messmen. So let's go ahead and add that. Whoa, what just happened there? There we go. Let's add birth. Nebraska. According to daughter's 1940 census. Just so I have a mark of why I have that information. We already have a hint, which is interesting. Donald Messmen. It's probably not him. But just look at the... Oh, it is him. Oh, Helen G. Messmen. Helen Gertrude Messmen, Andrew's German call. Born March 3rd, 1926 in Scotts Bluff, Nebraska. She passed away January 3rd, 2001. And her parents were Donald E. Messmen and Florence M. Hawkins. So we're able to confirm that now. Let's go ahead and add then this to Helen. Come on. I don't know why this gives me some trouble sometimes. You know what? Let's see if we can just do it this way. I'm going to say yes. Okay, Donald E. Florence M. Hawkins. And Helen Gertrude. In my second follow-up message to Ashley, she did put a G as the middle initial for Helen. So that does match as well. I didn't mention that. It wasn't in her original message. And we're going to just put in Scotts Bluff, Nebraska. Passed away January 3rd, 2000. Yeah. January 3rd, 2001. And now it tells me. Doesn't say where she passed away, but that's okay. So that's confirmed. We know now that Ashley's biological great-grandparents were Donald E. Messmen and Florence Hawkins. Let's see what else we can get here. So we have a couple of new hints for Donald. Here they were, here's their marriage. Let's go ahead and add this. They were married October 23rd, 1923. In Bonner, Idaho. That's a county. Because it's a county, I'm going to leave the word county and take out the US to make sure it's clear. Before I go any further with Donald, though, we were working on the 1940 census for the Selle family later on. So let's finish that up. We know that they were in Sandpoint in 1935. And let's go back here. Let's go to the top. I want to see the date. So we're going to scroll over. April 16th, 1940 was the day that the enumerator took the information. Now, I always put the exact date. The information is supposed to be based on April 1st, 1940, regardless of the day that the enumerator actually visited the family. However, let's be real, that's not always the case. Sometimes that enumerator might not have been there for several weeks later. And things changed. And even though the family was supposed to give the information based on April 1st, they didn't necessarily do that, regardless of what was asked of them. So I always put the actual day that the enumerator went to the home. And then I always keep in mind it's supposed to be April 1st, just in case. And the other thing I like to do is I like to change this to where it actually says census, because that is the specific record. And I put in the information for him. So we're going to just zoom out a little bit here. What I always do is I put, not everything, but I put with wife and children, finished 4 years high school, owns home 500, self-employed laborer. So basic information about who he was. So we have a general idea of his economic status, where he lived, who he was living with at that time. And the more of these census records that you find and you put together on their list, and you can see them all together in a row, you can get a better idea of how someone progressed over time. But we're going to go ahead and continue that. Oh, one other thing that I like to do is I like to put the actual address. So we know that they lived at 901 North 5th Street. So I'm going to go here and put 901 North 5th Street, Sandpoint. We're going to copy this. What I do is I just put my cursor here. I hit Control-A to highlight the entire line, Control-C to copy. And I'm going to go down and add this on for all of them. And you know what? For Ashley, I'm just going to go ahead and add everybody. Helen, oh, we got to fix the name though, because we know this is wrong. It's Messmen. Helen is not a new person. Oh, it's not letting me add her, which is interesting. So I'm not going to add her because we know she's already in the tree and I want this to go directly to her. If I add now, it will create a whole new Helen, but as a Helen Herman, which is wrong. So I'm going to leave that out. The reason why it's not populating is because Ancestry thinks that Helen is the daughter of John. But in the tree, we show her as the daughter of Donald. And since John is the primary, or Robert, sorry, since Robert is the primary subject, it's only looking at his known children in the tree and saying, okay, which of these people are we trying to connect Helen to? And there isn't anyone. As far as the tree is concerned, he doesn't have any children yet. So we're going to skip that because we don't want it to show incorrectly. Oh. And actually, I don't want to do this. Because the problem is, well, okay, I can't because it's just faster if I do it this way. The problem is it's going to show Donna and John Earl as the sons of, or the children rather, of Robert, and that's wrong. But after I add them, I can edit the relationship status. Helen's going to be more of a problem because it's going to mix profiles. So let's keep going here. These two will be fine. Let's change. Come on, Messmen. I like to put periods on middle initials. Robert Dale. We know the name is spelled wrong. And I don't know if I told you, so I go back here, we do Control A to highlight the entire thing, and Control V as in Victor to paste. So now I'm going to go back up. Actually, I don't need to go back up. I'm just going to do it right here. We know it was April 16 was the date. Control A to copy all. Control C to copy. And we're just going to paste the date in to all of these as well. Okay, so everyone's good there. And the last bit is this. So we have the census with husband and children. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. What else do we know about her? It doesn't give any kind of occupation for her. Just that she completed 2 years of high school. So we're going to put completed 2 years of high school. For this, we're going to put in census. We're going to put in with mother and stepfather. With mother and stepfather. And the last two with parents. With parents, and we're going to save all that. And then I want to go back and fix a couple of things. So we know John, his parents are listening correctly, right? Showing Robert as his father, that's not correct. So we're going to go to Edit up here in the top right hand side and do Edit Relationship. And we're going to remove, let's change it. Let's change this to step. Usually I don't put in step parents. I mean, I keep them in the tree, but I don't usually put the relationship. It's just something I've always done. But let's add an alternate father now. And we're going to add Donald. And he is marked as biological, and I'm going to set him as preferred. I just always put biological as preferred. Mainly because I do a lot of DNA research as well, but it's a personal preference. And we have a lot of adoptions in my particular family as well, and the adopted parent is always the primary parent as far as we're concerned. But I only do biological in my trees because of the DNA research that I incorporate. So I think it's just it helps. It helps with my research. But you do it however you want. You can easily just set preference to the step or the adopted parent. So we need to do that as well for Donna. And do that real quick. Again, we go to Edit, Edit Relationship. And we're going to change Robert to step, add an alternate father, select Donald, save, and mark him as preferred. And the one last thing I want to do is go back to this 1940 census and view it. But this time, oh, why is it not letting me do that? Let's see, view record. Here we go. Because I need Helen. So I haven't attached this to Helen yet. But I keep having problems at saving directly from a record. Hopefully it will let me do it. We want to select from our tree. I think it'll get there, it just takes some time. So, okay, so we've got Helen, Gertrude, Messmen. And let's fix some of this. So we know this was, April 16th, 1940. Remember, this was 901 North 5th Street in Sandpoint, Bonner, Idaho. And we know this was a census record. With mother and stepfather. And we're not going to select any of these other people because we've already done that when we added this record to Robert. Helen was the only one that was missing. So I'm going to go ahead and finish and save that to our tree. And the 1940 census is done. Look, a bunch of more stuff is coming up now for Helen. We've got, some city directories. Her find a grave, 1930 census. So let's get rid of the 1940 census. Let's close this and this. There's so much that we could do here. But I want to go back to Donald real quick and see if that 1930 census popped up for him, because I'd like to see when he was born. That's interesting. So he's in the Kansas State Census from 1905. It's probably him because it says he was born in Nebraska, but we don't know for sure here. Idaho Death Index. Oh, here. Oh, that's sad. Okay, so now we know what happened to Donald. So Florence was first married to Donald. They had at least 3 children. And now we know that on August 16th, 1935, Donald passed away in Sandpoint, Idaho. And then in 1930, let's go back to Florence. I think it was 1937, right? A year later, she remarried to Robert Selle. So that explains that. Now we know where the Messmen name came from, where all this is coming from. We also now have his parents' names. Emil Messmen, born in Iowa, but he sounds European. It's possible his parents were immigrants from France or Germany just by his name. The last name Messmen is typically German. Emil can go either way. And his mother was Hallie Brown from Missouri. So let's go ahead and add this in here. We also have his birthplace. So we now know that he was born November 15th. We know now the E stands for Earl. We know that he passed away August 16th, 1935. And for some reason, it didn't bring over his parents' names. So we'll have to go back and add those in. Gosh, he was young. He was only 32. Donald was only 32 when he passed away. I'm 39 as of today. So, wow. Let's go back to the death index, because that had his parents' names on it. And we're just going to view record in a new tab. We're going to add father. I believe it was Emil, right? Born in Iowa. Let's just make sure I'm correct. Emil, Iowa. Yeah, and Hallie G. Brown. Come on. There we go. Hallie G. Brown, born in Missouri. Come on. Sometimes it takes a minute to update. While we wait for that, let's just check to see what other hints we have on Donald. Go ahead and close this Idaho real fast. That's right, Kansas State Census, 1904. So he should be with his parents here. Oh, look, his Find a Grave record shows his parents, Emil August Messmen and Hallie Gertrude Messmen. So it's interesting. You can see how the names were passed down in the family, Gertrude and August. Let's take a look at that. I'm going to go straight to the Find a Grave record. He went by Don. Let's look at Emil. Emil was born in Council Bluffs in 1880. It doesn't show anything about who his parents were. But let's go ahead and add this. So Don passed away August 18th. We'll say that he was also buried in August 1935, most likely. And it is at the Lakeview Cemetery in Sandpoint. How much time has passed? Get rid of county. And we can go ahead and the reason why I'm adding this is because it the Find a Grave record connected him to his parents. They will also populate here, which makes it just a lot easier to add this information. So Emil August, July 24th. And the reason why I feel safe is because whoever was doing this, these individuals had put death index information. So they put secondary sources. This isn't just from nowhere. They're actually putting here what the information was. And look, it actually does tell us that Emil's parents were John Henry Messmen of Germany. What did I say? I thought he was probably German or French. And Julia Jane Plummer of Germany. Of course, John Henry in Germany would have been Johann Heinrich, not John Henry. That would have clearly been his anglicized name when he came here. Julia Jane is an unusual name for Germany, actually. So that could have been different as well, if she really was from Germany. Let's go back and finish this. So we know Emil passed away September 16th in the same place. Family has been in Sandpoint for a while, so Ashley might want to take a trip to Sandpoint. Put September 1953, and he was also at Lakeview Cemetery. Lakeview Cemetery, Sandpoint, Bonner, Idaho, and Hallie Gertrude Brown. She was born November 6th, 1882. She passed away July 2nd, 1954. And let's look at where. And this also has her parents, John Andrews Brown and Maria Clark. So we're quickly just going up in the generations. I don't think we're going to have enough time to keep going, but you can see how quickly you can just move and get pretty solid information. So far, everything we're finding is solid. But let's look. She was also at Lakeview Cemetery. I'm just going to add Lakeview Cemetery, Sandpoint, Bonner, Idaho. And we'll put July 1954. And save that to the tree. Now, there's so much we could do. I mean, we have all this additional information. I want to quickly just add the names of the parents here. Hallie. It was John Henry, wasn't it? So put John Henry, put that he was born in Germany. And Julia Jane Plummer, born in Germany. Sorry, that's my computer. Germany. And let's go to her. Make sure I put that right. John Henry and Julia Jane Plummer, both in Germany. Okay. And Hallie, her parents were John A. Brown and Maria A. Clark. We don't know where they were from. It doesn't say. And Maria what? Maria what? Clark? Maria A. Okay. But I want to go back. I want to go to Florence. Why did I say Messmen again? Didn't I change it? What am I missing here? Hold on. Now showing these twice, because remember we did put stepchildren. And we just ran out of time. I'll dismiss that. Damn. Okay. Where did the Boone, real quick, because I want to find out if Ashley and I might be related. So I want to remember where the Boone came from. Wasn't there a Boone in here somewhere? Who was Boone? Let's go back here, and we're going to just go to the address bar and hit enter to refresh it. Oh, Robert William Selle was a son rather of a Boone, Mabel Boone. So I might be related to Robert, but Ashley is not the biological descendant of Robert, so I would have no biological connection to Ashley, even if I do with Robert, because I am related to the Boone family, a descendant of Hannah Boone, which is a sister of Daniel Boone, the famous trapper. And it's very possible that Mabel is part of that family, but that's unrelated. So I think we did pretty good. If we click on Florence, we'll see more of what we were able to come up with. Why is it? Oh, sorry. If we click on Robert, Robert's who we really research. No, not Robert. Hold on. See, this is why I was worried about doing these live. Donald. If we look at Donald, we'll see more. So he was married to Florence. He had John, Earl, Helen, and Donna. Florence then remarried to the man that Ashley asked us about, Robert William Selle. Here's Donald's parents and great-grandparents. So Donald would have been, well, Helen was Ashley's grandmother. So we know Donald is Ashley's great-grandfather. Emil and Haley are Ashley's great-great-grandparents. And Johann Heinrich Messmen, Julia Plummer, John Brown, and Maria Clark are Ashley's third great-grandparents. So we did pretty good, I think, in our very brief, short time. If you like these videos, please, 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 please subscribe to my channel. like the video. That helps me as well. Comment if you have ideas or suggestions about what we looked at today, or just comments about what we looked at today. And also remember my Facebook page, or sorry, Facebook group, the Daily Dale Genealogy. I will be putting this post there. I'll also be putting on a couple of other genealogy groups that I'm a part of, one of which is secret, so I can't tell you about it, but just hello gangsters. I know you'll appreciate me giving you a little bit of a shout out. And I guess that's it for tonight. I think it went pretty well, and I'd like to do more of these. So if you have questions, feel free to shoot them on over to me. I think it's helpful if it's like this, if it's just, I have this ancestor, I'd like to know more about them, what can you find? And we just explore, because you never know what's going to come up. And I think it's kind of nice that we were able to piece together things that we weren't expecting and see how children were actually related to the people that gave birth, life to them, and the people who raised them, and the difference between that, and also some of the changes that we made here on Ancestry, how to change the relationship between people. So thank you again. Have a good night. Please subscribe to the Daily Dale. Please join the Facebook group. Please like this video, and please send me your information, and let's talk about genealogy and explore our families together. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.